This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in. Sit down, relax. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entry way into the minds and souls, the hearts, the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a gambler. I'm a shit gambler, but I'm a gambler. I'm a cheap gambler, but I'm a gambler. I'm not the gambler, but I am a professional wrestler. And I'm coming to you live from my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before we go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend. Facebook something nice out about the show. Best way that you can support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads. Pretty soon, I got a new children's book coming out. I'm super excited about that. Myself and children's illustrator and author Erica Weiss put this together. It's going to be very excited. All of that's available, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. Why am I a shit gambler? Why am I a sad gambler? I was in Las Vegas, Nevada, Sam's Town, the Sam's Town Resort and Casino, and $5 blackjack was calling my name. And boy, did it go fast and reminded me why I don't gamble. Then I did some Simpson slots. I won $40 and then lost $40. And we called it a day. $50 down, and I am out of there. I've never been a gambler. I assume those of you who know me very well and listen to the show for a long time probably understand why and know my conventions. But we were there for 2 days when in Vegas, right? Joe Coffey is on the show today. He's a Scottish professional wrestler. He's a very good wrestler. He's one of these guys on the scene out there who's helping make the scene, helping make it better. And for those of you in America that hear about that booming British wrestling scene, Joe is one of the guys helping the work rate over there. And I was happy to have him on the show. He's one of the main guys for ICW. And weirdly enough, like self-admittedly, I've had some weird experiences in ICW the last couple times I was there. Maybe not last time. The first couple years was amazing. And then there was just some real weird stuff going on with, I think people... I don't know, in a way I really liked it because you could tell that they were very protective. And by they, I mean, I don't know, the wrestlers, the Scottish wrestlers. There's one thing where I feel some of them have this entitlement where they're growing a scene and they don't want these other guys coming in. And then I also really love that. Like, I hate it for me because I'm a guy who's there doing the Edinburgh Fringe every year. And, you know, I'm, I guess, looking for work. I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle locally. A lot of these people know who I am through my travels all over the years and all around the world. So it's nice to be able to come in and work with their talent. But then if I step myself out of the situation, which I do a lot, and that's, I think, the way I keep myself level-headed is I always want to see each side of what's going on. If I step myself out of the situation, I get it. They're the guys there every single night. They're the guys doing the hard work. They're the guys increasing the visibility of this promotion. I think a lot of people found out about ICW through that Vice documentary, and it was just all their guys. Grado, Jester, Whiplash. And then with popularity, you bring in some dudes, and then people get upset that these dudes are probably coming in. I mean, this has happened. I've seen this happen literally everywhere, and there is no right answer to it. There's no middle ground. I think ICW has an amazing thing going, and I get it. They want to be protective of the ones that help bring it up. And at the end of the day, this is my show. This is my podcast, and I want to have the people on that I like, that I form a relationship with, that I feel there's an easy talk to have with. And Joe has always been one of those guys, and I was happy to have Joe on the show. Joe's from Scotland. I'm coming to Canada this week. Montreal, Ottawa, Oshawa, and Toronto. Come see me. I'll tell you all about those in the upcoming events. Other than that, I've always kind of been aware not to make this thing really political by any means. I try not to really spit out some political verbiage. And it's not because I'm afraid, to have my voice heard or to say what my political feelings are or thoughts. Some of it is that I'm here to promote a wrestling guy on the Colt Cabana Twitter feed. Like, if I had thoughts otherwise, maybe I'd start something else with a different name. But this is my wrestling world. This is my wrestling podcast. And sometimes when you follow someone who's spewing politics, it's just they're spewing it so much, then you turn it off, and then you're never going to hear those people again, whether it be a YouTube show or a podcast or a Twitter feed or an Instagram feed. But I always say I've never really gotten into politics because of professional wrestling. I know that might sound weird, But I look at it like this. I've been in like higher profile worlds of wrestling where I know what's going on in the backstage and I know what's happening behind the scenes where nobody else would know what was happening. And then you go on the internet and you see people reporting stuff that is just like, for a fact, I know for a fact that it is just utter bullshit, not true, not correct. Or maybe even, 30% correct, and people are saying it as fact, and then the wrestling world or everybody just starts talking about it like it's an actual thing. And then I relate that to the idea of politics, and I know that what's being reported a lot of the times in the wrestling world is just not true. And then I have to say to myself, well, if I can see that from an insider, I can only imagine what the world of politics is like. And how much bullshit is getting spewed through. I don't know what's correct. Nothing is correct. And so it only turns me off, and I kind of stay out of all of it. But in saying that, this guy's a real shithead. That's what I'll say. He's a real, in my non-humbly opinion, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. I stop myself in the middle of it because I just don't want to get that deep into it. But fucking hell. All right. If I lost you as a listener, sorry. But not really, right? You know the idea. All right, and maybe that's why we like wrestling. We use wrestling as a way of escapism to get out of this, and it's easier just to jump into this fake world. Although, with that statement being said, people seem to really like to know the inside of it more than they like the idea of this fake immersed world. But we escape so we can escape. And let's escape into a conversation with Joe Coffey. And before we do, I do have a song of the week. And the song of the week is brought to you by Audible. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from leading publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, and business information providers. And unlike a streaming or rental service with Audible, you own your books so you can access them anytime, anywhere, from almost any device, an iPhone, iPad, Android, Amazon Fire tablets, or Windows Phone. Audible makes getting more books in your life easy. They have an unbeatable selection of audiobooks and incredible performances, and that's why I have the Audible app on my phone. I really do. They have a lot of great stand-up on there and just some really unique podcasts. Also, I hate reading, so I ain't reading. I'm listening. Ron Funches actually hosts a show called The Guest List. And just last night, I listened to former guest Chris Cubis of this podcast do some stand-up on an episode on that podcast. Transform your commute and ride with Audible. Get a free audiobook with a 30-day trial at audible.com/Colt, AUDIBLE.com/all uppercase COLT for a free audiobook with your 30-day trial. All right, the song was suggested by Ken Tuccio, the originator of Barbershop Window. He suggested Astro Safari USA, who's on Twitter at Astro Safari USA, and you can grab their album Trappin' on iTunes. The song is called Royal Rumble. Enjoy it, and we'll be back with Joe Coffey.
Did you end up Newcastle on Friday?
Did I end up in Newcastle on Friday? Yeah. Yes, I did.
Oh, fuck, same.
So we didn't even get to hang out at the show. Has that ever happened to you? Like, have you ever? Well, let me ask you this: Are you a car guy or a train guy?
Car guy.
You have a car.
Car guy.
Okay. Have you always been a car guy while in wrestling?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, I got my license when I was like 18, so like I was just like, as long as I can make myself get there, then that's fine, and not rely on anyone else.
With the idea, did you get your? Because I feel the UK is a little different, whereas a lot of these wrestlers, you correct me if I'm wrong, everyone in America has their license. And it seems like UK wrestlers don't.
I feel as if I'm like myself and my brother are like carrying people's asses about all the time. But I don't really know why. I think maybe.
Did you get your license with the idea that you knew it was for wrestling and you knew you?
No, well, I was 18 when I got my license. I started wrestling when I was 21. To be honest, I didn't know anything. Like, wrestling didn't. It didn't exist really here, like as in training schools and stuff, until I actually done a bit of research. So it was just to have, again, like I like my own independence, and just to do my own thing.
But I did so many things to get ready to be a wrestler before I was a wrestler. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think I prepped myself when I was younger. I always thought, like, because I always had the idea that it was myself and Jackie Polo and my brother Mark, and we always talked about wrestling. I was like, yeah, I could see ourselves doing it, but I think we'd, subconsciously prepped ourselves maybe for it. But at the time when I had a car, it was just none other.
But you didn't have a game plan of like, okay, when I'm X years old, I'm going to start training. I'm going to get in the ring. This is where I'm going. I'd
always talked about it, but it was just finding somewhere, and I never thought for a chance that there would be anywhere in the UK, let alone Scotland, to do it.
It was that bad, huh?
Do you know, it was. I just couldn't really find much research about it. Like, do you remember they would have the tribute shows in the theatres and things like that?
So right now, while I'm over here, I'm doing I'm doing the Edinburgh show, the comedy show, every single night. Yeah. And sometimes Brendan Burns, the guy I'm doing it with, tells this story of seeing a tribute show, I think like in Norwich, and watching Norwich Stone Cold being like, "Aye." You know, like I want to kick. You know, I'm going to kick a little whoopers. Like, so those are a thing.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I ever seen advertised. Like on, you know, you'd see like the occasional.
Please tell me you went to a tribute show.
I never. I think my first wrestling show that I went to was, I think it was in 1989. It was like the Attitude Adjustment Tour when WWF was over. Then that was great.
Was it?
Oh, it was the best. Like, I mean, I didn't really know what house shows or anything like that were back then because I was only young, but like seeing like all the stars in the flesh, like,
seeing them come,
Stone Cold smashes beers about.
You know, even as you know, I saw Hulk Hogan at the Rosemont Horizon when I was 6 years old. Even then, like, I couldn't believe Hulk Hogan was coming to my town.
Yeah.
And remember, that's in Chicago, Illinois,
Yeah.
the second biggest market in the country.
Yeah. Well, I think I seen him in Newcastle. I think it was the NEC. But
the idea that Stone Cold Steve and The Rock have came to Glasgow or Scotland or whatever it might be, it's kind of crazy. And essentially that is our life. That's what we do.
Yeah.
But when you're not in wrestling, it is kind of mind-blowing that these people, because they're TV stars. So I don't know if you're like me, but like I guess I assume without subconsciously thinking, kind of like you're saying, it's just like, oh, well, they live in Hollywood and they maybe go and tape the wrestling. And
millions and millions of dollars and they will never, ever come to see me. Yeah. In fact, that venue that I seen that house show in was, I think we done it for that 5-star wrestling tour. That famous.
So you got to wrestle
in that venue,
in the place that you first saw wrestling.
Yeah. So I thought it was quite a cool moment. Like, I can't actually remember who I wrestled that night, but it was just a cool moment.
And were you in a weird 8-man or something?
No, actually, I think I was like against Osprey in a singles.
Okay,
I think, I wasn't involved in any of the really weird booking that night.
I don't know if I was either. I can't put any, like, he got me this ticket to Edinburgh is courtesy of 5-Star Wrestling, and so bless their heart, they are number one in my heart. So were you pumped up for that? See, it's kind of crazy because for a lot of us it was just a show we were doing.
I think it was just like, well, this is a cool moment. And it was just, I actually remember where I sat as well. Like, I've really particular memories from when I was younger for standout moments like that. So I just kind of like moseyed about where I was sitting. I was like, yeah, this is a cool moment. So
then the fun part about that, or the non-fun part about that, is like you can't sit in that. It's like, okay, on to the next thing. Like, okay, like,
well, that was it. When I was like, I totally forgot. I was like, oh, it was just another show.
Like, you only just remember that now because we started talking about it. Right? And but it's kind of fun how, like, those are moments that you have to seek it, but then they do go away, and it's about making other moments, isn't it?
Of course, yeah.
So where are you from exactly?
I am from Glasgow.
You are from Glasgow,
born and bred.
In the city, or are there suburbs of Glasgow?
Just out. I'm literally just 10 minutes outside the city, so just pretty much on the suburbs.
And so what is the stereotype of a Glaswegian?
Grado, even though he's not from Glasgow, but I think if you were to put someone from Glasgow or around the areas in Scotland, there you go. There's your
It's so funny. I was watching comedy at the Fringe, and there was this guy that was hosting a show, and I was talking with him. I go, are you from Glasgow? He goes, yeah. I go, you sound just like my friend Grado. He was on stage like, hey there, big. He was calling everyone big guy, and like,
all right, big man, how you doing?
Big man. Yeah. Like, are they? I guess everyone has different rough places and nice places.
I think there's a lot. Glasgow's notorious for being a rough city.
It's hard, right?
Well, I think I remember when I had a WWE tryout a while back, and I used like a fact that Glasgow was like the murder capital of Europe, and it was like I think Glasgow had the second highest murder rate in the world for a time.
What did that have to do with the tryout?
I was just saying, like, it was just basically like with the promo.
They were asking you guys not to murder people?
No. It was more like, it was just like, like to show a hard background or something like that. And it was like, if I can survive these streets, I can survive, a walk in the WWE ring.
You were using that as a promo, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were using that.
No. I was just thinking of like different ideas. But yeah, I suppose there's a lot of rough places. Where I'm currently based, it's nice enough. Do you know
Nice
what I mean?
enough.
Like, but I think you just grow up with it. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm sure in Chicago there's a lot of dodgy places.
I'm from the Jewish suburbs of Chicago. I could say I'm from Chicago.
We might have wandered in downtown or something. No,
Downtown's even nicer. The suburbs of Deerfield, it's even nicer there. I mean, sure. I mean, as a grown up, but you're a grown up, and also you tell me if you feel this, but like, I don't know. The difference between us and women, which is not like to make this a man versus woman, but I feel as a wrestler, and maybe it's because I'm a wrestler, I feel fine just walking anywhere at any time by myself late at night.
Yeah, funny you should say that. Like, I don't know if it's a Glasgow thing or being from Glasgow. Like, I feel as if you can all, I've never been in harm's way, like walking about. Of course, you're going to get occasional guys want to, if you're a big guy, want to try it on or whatever, but I've never felt in immediate danger, I mean, I've never walked in the Gaza Strip in Israel or anything like that, or any war zones in Iraq or whatever, but like anywhere in...
But I've walked home late at night in Chicago at 4 a.m. from my place, or even, early tours for me, when like seaside towns.
Yeah.
And I know there was a notorious fight I talked about one time here, like when a lot of us got in a fight in a nightclub, but even still, like, I didn't feel, we got out of it, no one got hurt, and we kind of walked back, but I was like, ooh, this is a seedy town. But I still felt like if I was just to walk from point A to point B, I wouldn't be like pissing myself.
Yeah.
And I guess I forget about this a lot, and because I've talked to women about it, just like they're like, I can't walk from A to B because I'm a woman. And I guess that, I don't know if that sounds shitty, but just the idea of like that's in their head that like big dudes can fucking... and like attack them at any time, where that's not a thought in my head.
Well, unfortunately, that just seems to become the way of the world at certain, like if you just look at the news, like there's just terrible things happening over and over, and it just seems to be getting worse.
Awful. But I don't have that fear in my head, and maybe I should.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I don't know if I should in Glasgow.
No. I think when people heard your accent as well, I think they'd be like, well, he's not from here, you know what I mean? Like,
they could take me down, or they think I'm charming.
No, well, I think they'd be more inclined. See, as much as Glasgow's got a reputation for being, I suppose a bit of a hard place, it's also got an endearing reputation when the people are friendly. They would hear your accent and go, "Oh, where are you from, big man?"
Right.
You know
Want to have a drink with me?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fucking Grado just met some guy at a bar, took him to my fucking show, and just the guy ruined my show. I go, Grado, who is this guy? He goes, I don't know. I met him at a bar. He just followed me to your show.
Just heckle the whole thing?
He was talking, not heckling, he was talking.
All right.
But that's another thing I think I put on Glaswegians, is that they don't realize that they think they're adding to a show, but they're just...
Yeah.
It's like you're talking in the whole fucking show, which is probably what made ICW so great, is all the fans were just like, instead of wrestling fans that we know sitting on their hands, the Glasgow fans are just rowdy and always talking, and it makes for a great wrestling show, right?
Yeah. Like, the thing I like about like talking in the ring and doing promos in here, there's always a heckler. There's always back chat, and it's good. I think it's really good practice. Like, you can either choose to ignore it or you can choose to work with it. Sometimes in the nature of the promo, I think it's good just to ignore it, but like, there's been a couple of times I'm just like, right, you're getting it tonight.
and correct me if I'm wrong, is that not kind of the charm of this place?
Oh, I'd imagine so. That's I'd imagine one of the USP, like, selling points of ICW.
Did you say USP?
USP.
What does that mean?
Unique selling points.
Or did you just...
No, that's some business jargon.
Did you take a Mark Dallas marketing class? What was that?
She just have some pro wrestling tees there, you know.
Jesus Christ!
But I think that is one. Like you said, the charm that's got that fan interaction.
But when does it go overboard? Because if fans come to do that kind of stuff, and has it?
I'd have run as a villain a while back here, and there was just a few pints floating, like people flinging pints in, and to me that's really disrespectful, especially with... I've snapped my Achilles before in the ring, and it was due to like a slippy surface and things like that, so I get really riled up and just maybe jumped over the barrier and had a word with some fans. Yeah, like I get that really...
But what do we accept? We want them to get right.
I know that is where it is.
And I'm not putting... I had this conversation with my friend the other night, and it's not a win or loser. I'm just trying... I'm talking out in my head, and I'd like to talk it out with you. It is like we want them to get riled up, but then we don't want them to throw. We want them to heckle, but then we don't want them to boo Bailey or what, you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it's a weird point. Wrestling's so different than everything else,
I suppose
isn't it?
it's what mood you're in the ring. Like if I was villain, somebody's like throwing pints, I would maybe just stand there and just pose. But then
if you're thirsty, maybe.
Yeah, if I'm thirsty, yeah. But then I think it's more like I'll always think about the match on after me. And think, well, someone else has got to work in this ring. If I'm not on last, if someone else has got to work in this ring, then, it's a really dangerous surface to work in. So
fuck, we did the show at the Edinburgh Fringe. It's called The Wrestling, Comedians versus Wrestlers.
Yeah.
And the comedians came in and just started pouring beer. The first segment of the show was guys pouring beer and Monster and all over just because they don't know.
It's Stone Cold Steve Austin to blame for that.
Yeah, maybe
that in their head they are Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Fair
for
enough.
That moment. Yeah.
And it was funny because I was like, they're performers, but they're not wrestlers. They don't know that we're about to physically kill ourselves as they pour beer all over our wrestling ring that we're about to. Tell me about your Achilles tendon. What happened?
It wasn't necessarily a slippy surface. I think there was in fact, Grado had something to do with it because I always give him a bit of stick. But the match that was on before us, they brought a lot of kids into the ring and they were jumping up and down.
Oh, I've done that before.
Like a trampoline.
But I'll do that at the end of the show.
And the boards separated. And as I went to I was on the next match and the boards hadn't been put back into place. So as I ran, like the ropes, like no one can see it here, but if that was a beam, like I went like that and the whole Achilles snapped. So like it felt strange for about 60 seconds. Like it felt as if I was running downhill because obviously there's no plantar flexion on your Achilles, and then the pain came in because I'd done like a springboard crossbody, and as soon as I hit the ropes, it was just sheer agony. I think. But
you did a minute with a fully torn
Achilles, like snapped, like,
and then
totally
a springboard crossbody.
I was like, there's something not right here, and then done it and done the crossbody. I was wrestling Johnny Moss, and I said to John, John, I think I've broke my leg, and he went, oh right. Just pick me up, slam me and take it home. I picked him up and slammed him.
How did you do that?
And just by the power of Hulkamania, really.
Perfect.
But,
and then you went and fucked his wife.
The highest paid porn star. I rolled out the ring and then I just continued and for another 5 minutes.
You still
luckily it was a last man standing match. Or sorry, it was a falls count anywhere. But I just continued it because I hate that way of. I've seen it in television that when it's like the X's are up and all that, and so I'm just like, nah, I can't do that. I think it was just pride. But
also, here's some of my thought is well, it's broken. It's going to be broken afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How much more broken than broken can you get?
Yeah, I was just really disappointed because I'd come back from a good tour of Japan and I had a good little buzz about me, and then it was just totally gone.
I was going to ask how long. So how long are you out for then?
That was, I think they'd said 9 months.
And how do they repair an Achilles tendon?
A lot. So first of all, I went straight to the hospital that night, and
I imagine it rolls up your leg.
Yeah, well, essentially, the Achilles is like an elastic band,
right?
It stretches up onto the hamstring, and then that just totally snapped. So they were talking about a little bit of keyhole to pull it back, essentially pull that elastic band back round and put it back in the heel, but they thought it would heal itself, and I just got a big cast on for
really?
I think it was 8 weeks, and then after that it was a big black boot which had a wedge in it, but the wedge would go down week by week so that your Achilles would get used to moving again. But that was one of the most frustrating times of my life because my shoot job, I've run a personal training business, so I had to take a lot of time off that as well. Lost a good few clients, lost heaps of wrestling bookings as well, so it was a testing time.
And how long into wrestling were you?
Probably about 4 years.
Okay.
4 years in, yeah.
And starting to kind of, right, I guess go to Japan, starting to make a little money, maybe?
Yeah.
And then it just goes away.
Yeah, it was frustrating, so it happens.
What did you do, though? So 9 months, right?
No, I think I made it in about 5 months because I just blasted all the physio rehab and stuff like that.
So what do you do if you're a wrestler because I remember those times where it was paycheck to paycheck back then. Now I have some money saved up, and if that stuff happens, and it's stuff I think about all the time, but probably back then, 5 years in for me or whatever, especially trying to make it. I know you had a regular job, but even you said that took a hit. So like, what do you borrow money?
No, I mean, luckily I'm a saver, so I did get by on savings and things, but it's like that saving was for a mortgage for a house and things like that, and other things, but just had to take that hit and just focus. Like, I felt myself spiraling away. Like, I felt like
but focus, but you can't. You're just focusing with a cast on doing nothing.
Yeah. Well, no, I still trained. Trained. Like, still done a lot of training. It was just obviously couldn't do much lower body stuff. But I felt as if I was like Jack Nicholson in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at a point. It was just dementing because I was spending a lot of time in the house as well, because I didn't want to ask, my mum or my dad or my brother, like, to constantly ask, can you drive me here or whatever, and get a lift.
So what'd you do? Did you learn a language?
No, I should have just. I had this list of like, I should do that, because it was like, well, hopefully if I go back to Japan, I'll learn Japanese. I think I still.
We've all done that, friend. We've all bought that book and then put it down after 2 weeks.
I still know as much Japanese as I did when I first went there. So I just focused on training, made sure I'd be back proper.
But what did you do in the house? Just watch TV all day?
Watch wrestling.
Just watch wrestling.
Just watch wrestling. Watch whatever was on at the time.
What's your go-to when you go to YouTube and you want to get in a wormhole?
Wrestling.
Yeah.
There's a couple of matches. There's one, actually, I was talking to Shah Samuels about it the other day, because we was talking about matches that like is just entertaining, and it was what should you call it, Kellett and Leon Harris, and I think that's just a great go-to match, just if you want some lighthearted stuff, and I think it's a timeless match. Other things, I'll go on to some old Japanese stuff. Like, I love Stan Hansen, just watching him be a total badass, and Brody and things like that. And then I really enjoyed the juniors when Fergal, and it was just kind of breaking out there, when it was like the best of the Super Juniors and the Super J Cup, when it was him and Marufuji. Really enjoyed those series of matches that he had. But a lot of the old British stuff as well, because obviously that's having a resurgence and a kind of renaissance period. So it's just trying to pick up little things that you can take into your own act.
Were you ever into 80s WWF stuff?
Love the 80s WWF stuff. Yeah, like actually when I started doing all the face paint and stuff like that, that was more to connect with kids at family audiences, because you can be as trunks and boots as you want if you've not got that little hook. And that was it. Like, I think the first VHS I had was, I think it was World Tour 89, 90 or something like that, and it had like Warrior and Hogan and the Rockers and stuff, all the kind of, cause that's what I remember, the bright colours and things.
It's funny you say that, because I mean, as the champion of ICW or whatever, and like these higher profile quote unquote internet smart fan matches that you do, you say you have this face paint for the kids shows, because that's probably half your living too, right? Yeah,
definitely.
So for those who see you and start going crazy and cheering for you and seeing you wrestle, like you wrestle Kurt Angle, is that right?
Yeah.
And those kind of matches, but like, hey, the other half of the time you're in front of 200 screaming kids, and that's also just as important.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely, yeah.
Are you doing a lot of those?
Yeah, I mean, there's always in the UK. There's a lot of family shows now. It seems to be kind of 50-50. I think there's a lot more, that 18 to 30. That stereotypical male demographic that we're all working towards and working in front of now. But I enjoy the family shows. I
mean, you have to know how to do those.
Yeah, and like, I don't want to say it's easier, because it's not. It's just it feels more relaxed, because
those kids aren't going to go on Twitter and slag you off.
The kids aren't going to slag your work rate or anything like that. Like, only the 2 wrestlocks tonight. I'll be tweeting Dave Meltzer about that. So,
which is pretty. It's a real relaxing state of mind.
Yeah.
To do those shows, knowing that, like, I guess you can be experimental, right?
Yeah. Well, that I use those shows and some of the Smart Mart shows to just try different things. There's a couple of times I've failed in the ring, but that's the fun part of it, and then you can go from there. But I just like the relaxed atmospheres of the family shows as well, because they're not overthinking it. They are not looking into anything more than what it is, and it's this guy versus that guy in a wrestling match. So they're the fun ones.
And we like the guy with face paint. Or dislike the guy. What do they like or dislike?
If the face paint's on, I think they'll like it. They generally like it.
They like a man with
kids.
face paint.
They like a bearded man.
And at halftime,
Yeah.
you'll paint their face for a $5.
I've actually thought about doing that before, but I'm not that fast a painter. So
I've what did I say? I did a show in Bristol, and I told everyone you could touch. I tagged with Joey Ryan. I said you could touch his dick for a $5. I probably made 40 pounds that night. So you don't do that at that show, by the way.
No, definitely not a family show. No.
Yeah. I asked Joey. I go. Do you do that stuff at kid show? He goes, yeah, of course. The dick stuff.
Yeah.
He goes, I just say touch it instead of my dick.
Yeah.
And he goes, they love it. I'm like, oh God, I don't.
I think but I also think that like the younger generations are now totally desensitized to anything like that. So it's
fair enough. That's good.
Yeah, like it's not. They're not. I don't think it'd be that offended if it was maybe say 20 years ago.
Right.
What do you think of the current like ongoing things with Joey and Jim Cornette and Kenny Omega? What's your take on it?
Yeah, I think that there's just for me I relate it to comedy.
Yeah.
And there's you know what years ago I related it to Spaceballs and Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Spaceballs is a total fucking shit show, and it's making fun of not making fun of, but it's like playing on Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that Spaceballs is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I love it. And it's just like the ideas of like, hey, these are both movies, and there's so much you could do within the genre. But as weird as this sounds, I get what Jim Cornette's saying.
I totally agree. Like because I love a lot of what Jim Cornette says. Like some of it makes a lot of sense, you know, and he does have a wealth of knowledge. But on the flip side, what like Joey's doing is entertaining. Yeah, it's entertaining. It's making him a hell of a lot of money, and then obviously Jim's looked at like Kenny's Omega's past, like with wrestling with the girl and the blow up doll.
I love that girl match, by the way.
And also the blow up doll's entertaining, and it surely it shows how good a worker you are if you can work a blow up doll. But then the flip side is matches with Okada, like how could Jim Cornette not see past that? Do you know what I mean? Like those matches were,
but also I think
brilliant.
he's just talking to talk.
Yeah.
He knows that people get a rise out of it. But in saying that, like I do get what Jim Cornette's saying, and I understand that back in the 1970s, I just don't understand why he doesn't understand, and maybe he does, and he's just putting on a show. That back in 1970, that's what worked, but it's just a whole different ball game now.
Yeah.
And even in the 70s, they were wrestling bears and stuff, and he was part of those shows, and that's pretty ridiculous. I know, I get, like, just that's how weird it was. I mean, it's always the sideshow, and it's weird. Yeah, and there's weird.
There must have been some things that even the old timers back then must have thought, what is going on here?
I'd heard something that and I tweeted to somebody that Lou Thez would shit on Harley Race all he could. He's like, this is not a real wrestler. Real wrestlers don't do a headbutt from the top rope, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and they would just rip him apart, Harley Race.
Yeah.
And Harley Race is, we fucking, he's the king to us.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Right. So I think it's something that's going to happen. And I want people to just not be on, I don't want to say on the right side of history, because it's kind of shitty to say for all the shitty stuff in the world.
Of course. Yeah.
But you'd be on the fucking, just realize that you can either be that guy or this guy. Which guy do you want to be?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's nice. So you're a defender of everything.
No, I think, especially now, in this modern era of wrestling, I think you have to be open to I've done a lot of ridiculous stuff. Do you know what I mean? Stuff that necessarily I might not agree with, but do you know what? In the context of the match, it worked.
I'll agree. I did there's a kind of an infamous baseball match I did in my.
Was that the Shikara one?
Chicago.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Looking back at it now, I don't know. I almost don't agree with it.
Yeah,
I don't agree with it, but it just it made everyone so happy. It made so much sense in the moment, and like I'm not regretting it.
Yeah,
but like it's not really my thoughts on wrestling.
Yeah,
but it just made sense then.
Yeah,
so we did it.
Of course, like I had a couple of matches with Grado, and we done some absolutely ridiculous stuff. But did would it be my character to do that? Well, no, not really, but you know, it would be Grado's, so it was worked within the context of the match. So,
well, something I learned in wrestling was not very early, but something that I never really thought of until somebody told me, is that you always work to the gimmick.
Yeah,
and so like, you know, maybe at that point Grado's kind of the character, so you have to work towards him.
Yeah,
like, you know, if I'm wrestling Shark Boy, I'm not going to do a fucking. If I'm you wrestling Shark Boy, I'm not going to do this crazy, you know, suplex type match or whatever. My strong style. It's like, well, you let him bite your ass, you know. I don't know.
Do you say strong style as well?
I don't know.
No, that's just, I think that's a very interesting term as well. Like, I think that gets thrown about so much.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people have the understanding of what.
I don't even know if I do.
Is. I mean, I don't think anyone does. You know what I mean? Like, I've heard so many, like, because I'd sit down, I was in 01 and I'd ask different guys like Otani and Tanaka, and then there was a guy, Kohei Sato and Hidaka, like, they gave me like 4 different meanings. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
It's just what it meant to them, but the whole core thing of it was just a fighting spirit type thing. But
well, so when I started in Ring of Honor 2003, it was kind of, I feel, based off of all Gabe's like for All Japan, and what happens is everyone, right? The Indies goes through these periods of like taking people's style, and that was a real, like, 2003 was a real, like, All Japan strong style. That's where I heard the term. So when I think of strong style, I think of like Kobashi and Misawa or whatever, just beating the fuck out of each other. I guess that's kind of, and like I remember, like, you know, one of the big examples is like BJ Whitmer, who like really adapted that stuff, and they're always like, well, your career is not going to be that long. And then I remember, you know, being in my early 30s and BJ was all fucked up, and I was still able to kind of wrestle because I didn't really dive into it that much. Yeah, I kind of learned a little younger age to maybe put some
a little bit smarter.
yeah. And I'm still able to move, and he got really fucked up for a while. Of
course.
A lot of those people did use that style, but also so did Joe, you know, and he's king of the wrestling.
Yeah, he's king of the world just now. Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. Okay, I do want to get, how did you, so you do become a wrestler at 21, we're not 18.
Yeah.
Did you feel that was late for you, looking back? Or
I think I'd done it at the right time, as in time period. I would have probably liked to have started a little bit earlier. I was actually playing rugby. I don't know if you know, like, you know what rugby is. Like, yeah, that's fine. It's
just not getting a huddle and then
what's that? Yeah, just getting a huddle and just kind of like wrestling, really, just touch each other up a little bit, but
and then just murder each other with no pads.
Yeah, no pads.
You know, American football, we talk about CTE and stuff.
Yeah, I
gotta imagine those rugby players are all fucked up. The older ones.
Yeah, I think like it's more body wise. I don't think the head injuries. I mean, I couldn't really tell you from looking at journals or whatever, but I think it's because of the pads that American football players are so, you know, broken in the head, essentially, because it's like they think they're Superman going in to hit tackles as hard as they can, and maybe that's why the head trauma is so high. Do rugby players have a consideration not to hit people in the head or use the head? Well, you can't do any high tackles. Anything above, you know, torso, waist is illegal. Okay. So you would get penalised for it. Okay. But like I was playing a lot of rugby and was almost touching on professional, you know, contracts. I was in like an academy and played a high standard. So I was kind of chasing that for a while. I played it all through school and played for like Glasgow and like Scotland camps and things like that, which was a good level. But I was a wrestling fan first and foremost. So you were at the Scotland camps? Does that mean you like did Butlins? What's that? Rugby at Butlins? No, rugby at Butlins. But I did do it. I have done the camps. But wrestling came first, and it was like I grew up with Jackie Polo. We went to school together, and he kept saying, "I'm going to do it. I'm going." I remember he kept he was the one that looked online. He was like, he found I think it was like a Ring of Honor like tryout camp or something like that. Like when he was like, I'm going to go at this, and then like he'd sourced like TNA were looking for like office interns, and he was like, I'm going to do that in the summer because he thought that like that might be a way in, which was a great idea. But then eventually we done our research and we found there was a place in Scotland. It was SWA originally, and it was only like 10 miles from the house. So we had no. We had no excuses, and we just dived headfirst into it. So you did it before your brother did then? Yeah, he joined about 6 to 9 months later. We kind of persuaded him round. Not that he's always been a wrestling fan, but I just don't think he was I think he thought we were taking the piss at first, like it was just this big joke. But then, like, showed him, and then like we all kind of never looked back that way. So.
Who'd you train with?
Originally, the guy who owned it was called Conscience. Don't know if you remember Conscience.
No.
But
And
my trainers, the guy who took me under his wing first, and well, the three of us was Big Damo, or Kelly and Dane now. So he had a lot to do with our early stuff, you know, just basics and fundamentals of wrestling.
And so what, he was training at that school and kind of like the most advanced guy or whatever?
Yeah, it was kind of forced upon him, like to be the coach type thing, and because they were thinking of shutting that training school down, and then there would have been nothing. So he kind of took it upon himself, and fair play to him, because he ate a lot of shit sandwiches in that time, and he helped a good core of us, and we seem to have done all right. But he would bring folk in, I'll credit Finn Balor, Fergal, and Johnny Moss as two guys that totally changed the way I thought about wrestling. They'd done like this weekend camp, and I was on the kind of, I was thinking of going back to play rugby, or it was going to be the wrestling, and they just totally made my mind up for
because
me.
Because what, in my head, when you say that, like maybe you're at one of these smaller schools where you don't really see any kind of future or anything, or is it just the mindset of wrestling?
Yeah, I think it was more the fact that when they come in, like, they saw him, like I was athletic and stuff, and like, no, you could
they took you aside.
Yeah, they were like,
Gotcha.
you could do something.
I thought they did some kind of lesson that blew your mind.
No, I know. Well, to a certain extent as well, it was just the way they trained, because the standard of training before they'd come in to do like a camp, it wasn't that great. You know what I mean? It like, you know, that I'm trying to think that way. If you like are at a training school class and it's just like there's not many athletic guys there, so it's kind of hard to do what you want to do. But when they come in, you know, they set a standard. But
thing. what was there? I mean, who was? It's like, hey, if Drew McDonald,
yeah,
right? It's like, if he's not going to be up here training people, or fucking, what's the guy who went to Calgary's name? Scott from Dundee.
Oh God,
I always forget his name.
That's on literally the tip of my tongue. But
I don't want to say Chip or something.
Chick Cullen.
Chick Cullen, there it is. Right? Those are the Scottish guys.
Yeah.
And if they were the ones that were successful before, they don't come back, right?
Yeah.
They're not training people.
Yep.
So then who's training people?
Well, I think Drew was as in Drew McIntyre was the guy who kind of just kickstarted the whole Scottish scene.
Yeah, but he was 14.
Exactly. Yeah, well, I think, like, honestly, I think everyone just, like, at that time, because that was a little bit before when I started, they just kind of made it up as they went along.
Yeah, it was GTS.
Yeah.
It was Iceman.
Yeah.
These were the Scottish guys.
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, they're nice enough guys, but they're not changing the wrestling world.
Yeah.
And nor have they, like, and they were trying to get different places, but it's not like they were, like, these polished wrestlers. It didn't have anybody.
No, it didn't. It didn't. Like, that's why I give Damo a lot of credit for helping us. Helping us become at least semi decent to start to get bookings and that. But when Fergal and John come in, they changed the kind of the way we thought about it, and Damo brought in Robbie Brookside as well, which
that's what it takes.
Volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it would need like Robbie to stay up there.
Yeah.
It's hard if you're a good wrestler, because you want to travel as a wrestler.
Of course.
To stay in one place and teach the next generation.
Yeah. I think it helped Mikey Whiplash moved up here as well, and he's obviously got he's done a lot, like especially with British wrestling, and he helped kind of more think why we would do things as opposed to just doing them. So he kind of like, especially with the technical side of wrestling, so that helped as well. But those kind of guys was the guys who I credit who really
is he an uncredited guy for like the help of ICW too? Because I feel like it was when he kind of moved to Scotland is when ICW started kind of growing.
Yeah, I think him and Jester originally they were the kind of first big feud in ICW, and I think that's like both of them really helped kind of spark it and kickstart it, because they were like, although like Jester's really good wrestler and Whippy's really good, they kind of done something a little bit more darker that the crowd kind of bought into. So yeah, I'd say that he was kind of uncredited.
And so then when you went to Japan for 01, what was just like, I need to get out of here? Or
no, it was just an opportunity. There was I think it was over in Ireland, and it was a European. They were on a European like talent scout thing. And I think there was like 50 guys there, and
AKA they wanted to go to Ireland.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they wanted to piss up in Ireland, and they were looking for folk, and there was like a whole bunch of wrestlers like from England, Scotland. I think there was a few from Spain and Ireland, and then they'd chose me out the 50 to go over.
You were the one guy?
Yeah,
Oh,
just
nice.
to be, just to go over on an excursion and essentially like a young boy type thing. So I loved it. I loved Japan, and I could.
What year did you go over there?
2012,
Okay.
so a while back.
Because I did 01 in 2005 and 6.
How did you find it?
Yeah.
Enjoy it?
I liked it. I mean,
Yeah.
Carino got me there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they weren't what they were in 2002 or 3.
They were nothing like that in 2012.
And
so.
when you were there, I know they were. Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
I mean, at least I got to see, I feel I got to see some decent houses and do Gurkhan and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know and now they're just like a once a month promotion, right? If that.
Yeah, it's a shame because like when I was there in 2012, they had a really good group of young guys that they could have done something with, flung a bit of money at, could have tempted us to stay there, but they didn't. And
foreigners.
Yeah,
Who was over there with you?
myself, Sean Maxer from Ireland. There's a guy that stays over there full time, a big New Zealand guy. James Radini wrestles under. I don't know why he's still there. He should be out. He should be signed by.
He's a hidden gem, huh?
He's just a monster, man. Like if you're looking for like the next monster, I can't see by him. Like he's.
You don't think it's me?
What's that?
You don't think it's me?
We'll find out tonight. I want to see choke slams and Robbie Eagles from Australia.
He's really good.
Yeah, he had a match with Will recently. That
He was on the House of Hardcore, man. And I was like, I thought he was the other Eagles.
Yeah.
And then they were like, no, like there's 2 Eagles. I think there's like, not Madison Eagles. There was, I think, her like X or something.
Yeah.
And then I got those 2 mixed up. So then I was like, holy shit, this Robbie Eagles is really fucking good.
Yeah, Robbie Eagles. And then it was all the Irish boys, Jordan Devlin, Jordan. Phil Boyd. I'm trying to think. There was a couple of a Korean guy called Joe that was out there. Another American called Johnny Vandal, who I think he started doing some NXT stuff. Like he's kind of like.
So they had a shitload of foreigners.
the shitload of foreigners.
Sleeping in the ring?
No. They, like had an apartment and things like that, and it was right next to the dojo. I mean, it was crammed, but it was probably one of the best wrestling times of my life. It was never a dull moment. It was always a laugh. So.
All you guys just trying to find your way around Japan, lost in translation type shit.
I liked it though. Like I'd watched, like that's one of my favorite films as well. So I was kind of prepared for it. But I could have happily lived in Japan for at least a year. I loved it. Really liked the lifestyle, like the people, like some of the food.
Right.
So I tried some weird stuff.
Have you been back since?
No, I've not. I'd love to. I'd love to go back. It's just finding the right.
I mean, I remember I had Elgin on my show years ago, and I was like, well, I mean, you seem like the guy for Japan.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I know, but I just can't. And eventually now you see he's the star with New Japan.
Yeah, it's a shame I was supposed to wrestle him this week, but I think he had prior engagements with New Japan.
Yeah, so I think you're a guy that's about, I think you have nothing to worry about. But, I think it's one of those things. It's where you just keep on pushing forward. It's a little harder up here in Scotland, but this scene has been so great that you're floating around, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're all over it. So
yeah, no, of course. Like I kind of get what you mean as well. Like just kind of pushing forward. Like the way 2017. I'm not a negative guy, but it's hard. Like there's been a lot of setbacks this year, especially like with that tour that was talking about, the 5-star tour, which was a lot of dates, a lot of money lost. The ITV thing not going the way it should have. Do you know what I mean? So. It's just a case of looking forward and seeing what next year brings as well. So,
do you believe stuff like? I mean, I guess with the ITV thing, especially with the one thing that they filmed, it's hard not to believe. Like, oh, I guess this can happen.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I don't believe anything until I'm there and filming it.
Yeah, I'm a guy that it's like I was still skeptic. Like I was such a skeptic up until I actually saw the New Year special, and even then I was skeptical about what the future, because if it's not in black and white, and if I'm not holding something in my hand, then I don't believe it's going to come to fruition.
Was like, it wasn't on the front page like amazing wrestling in the front page of the Times.
I mean, it never was going to be, but like
you never know.
It was a good little family show. It was what it was. I felt they could have done something with it because we were told we were green lit for a TV series, but then there was a lot of a lot of breakdowns.
And so I know I just read this thing with Shah where it like put him in depression or something.
Yeah, I mean, like me and Shah talk a lot, and we're like just kind of spurring each other on, like it'll be fine, don't worry, brother, it'll be all right. But it was really disappointing, especially because the WWE UK thing happened around at the same time. I'm not saying I would have been on it, but I reckon I'd have been on a short list for it anyway.
Short bus, maybe.
A short bus. So that was it was frustrating. It's done. It is what it is. They might do it again. Who knows? But it was nice to be a part of it, though. It felt like something really cool. Like it was on national television, and they were bringing it back. Essentially, I mean, it wasn't World of Sport they were bringing back, but it was like a modern. I mean, kind of game show version, like the wrestling. The wrestling, yeah. Like the way I thought, like the time slot they put it on was like Gladiators. Like it was essentially what like Gladiators, just to get the kids, involved. And it would have been on in the summer holidays when the kids could have seen it. So I know
the foam finger sales would have been so.
Finger sales. I was thinking action figures, mate, with the paint and everything. But yeah,
but that's the hustle of what we do, though. Is that even these guys. Like, I can only imagine Gallows is like, he's still thinking about, okay, once this is done, I still got to then, unless you're John Cena, you're not.
And you are comfortable.
Yeah. It's like, even when you're you have a thing, you're always thinking of the next thing and making sure you're set and your dates are ready and you're ready to go. And so, I don't know if that does your head in, it does mine a little bit.
Yeah, like, I think it can be a worry sometimes, it's a bit of a stress, but I think if you just think about it too much, then you're just going to lose your mind in the wrestling business.
Sure, yeah.
But I think I just take it week by week now, and just if there's anything cool coming up, then that's good to look forward to. But just week by week.
And what are your mainstays in the UK?
In the UK, I'm trying to think now. ICW, there's BCW, Target, and there's a lot further south. I've wrestled for Progress a few times and stuff like that, but. God, you put me in the spot. I
do What Culture or no?
What Culture as well,
yeah,
so I can believe that. What Culture. There's a lot of companies that I work for up and down the UK. There's one or two I've not yet, which I'd love to work for. And we'll hopefully something will happen there. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm busy most weekends, so I can't complain. Do you know what I mean? I'm booked every other weekend. Schedule. So yeah.
Do you do
midweek stuff as well?
We did the camps, 5 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you do those anymore?
No. And it's just.
There comes a point where
it just comes a point. It's just like
so you've hit that point.
If I hear that Punch and Judy song one more time that plays before it,
can you sing that for us?
No, but I can do the impression. It's like, hello, Mr. Punch. It's like, that's terrible. But if I hear that high pitched voice one more time, I think I might do something that I might regret. So I've had my time there.
What is Punch and Judy? That's on before the
Punch. It was always on. Like for some reason, I always remember that Punch and Judy. It was like the puppets, like the hand puppet type things, and it's like.
Will everybody from the UK know what you're talking about? Yeah. Okay.
Like so, Punch and Judy is like a traditional hand puppet show. I can't really remember the narrative of it or anything, but. If I just heard that one more time, I was like, "Nah, I'm sorry, that's it. I'm tapping out. I've had my time." But great learning ground. You know that, like speaking of like the family shows where you can have freedom to try things out. That's a perfect example.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Where are you at on the internet?
What's that? Sorry.
Where are you at on the internet?
On the internet, I am on Twitter at Joe_Coffey, Instagram Joe Coffey 88, and my Facebook page is JCPT and Joe Coffey Wrestling.
Anything else you need to plug up a little?
No, I'm all good. Oh, actually, I've got an online store, Joe Coffey 88 at Big Cartel as well.
Grab some Joe Coffey mugs. I hope you have coffee mugs.
Mate, I don't like. I've been trying to get mugs for ages.
Why the fuck wouldn't you have Joe Coffey mugs?
They're expensive.
I know.
It sucks. Sadly, just t-shirts.
You think they would be cheaper, but they're
I really need to find some like good cheap mugs. So if anyone's out there and want to tweet me some links to some cheap mugs,
some China deals,
that would be smashing.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Thanks for being on, man.
No, thank you very much. A pleasure.
Yeah, it was a good talk. Cheers. All right, Joe Coffey, let's get you some coffee mugs, bud. I think Claudio Cesaro did that back in the day. Let's hope your teeth stay in forever. Oh, that was so gross to look at. That's the nightmare, right? The nightmare of everybody is losing those teeth in the middle of a match. Now, instead of making this a yay for Joe Coffey, I'm making this an awe for Cesaro. All right, before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
Upcoming events.
All right, the best way you can support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast, also /Colt Cabana. My storytelling podcast, Pro Wrestling Fringe, plus past archives of the show that are ad-free, StitcherPremium.com/Colt. Use the code COLT, get a free month. October 4th, 3 new Fringe episodes will be coming up. You're going to really like them. ColtWrestling@gmail.com is my very public email. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on an upcoming show or convention. YouTube, I got a YouTube channel, throwing stuff up there. ColtCabana.com is my website. I got a P.O. box there. Lauren sent me a picture that her kids drew, and Liz and Ed both sent me postcards. Thank you. Upcoming this week, Friday, September 29th, Montreal, Canada, Facebook /CRW Wrestling. Saturday, September 30th, Ottawa, Canada, C4Wrestling.com. Sunday, October 1st, 2 p.m. in Oshawa, Alpha-1Wrestling.com. 7 p.m. in Toronto, Facebook /Greektown Wrestling. Saturday and Sunday, October 7th and 8th, Dublin and Belfast, OTWWrestling.com. Heading to Ireland, excited about that. October 12th through the 15th, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Chicago. I'm doing commentary, ROHWrestling.com. I believe on the 16th, I will be there at Pro Wrestling Tees for the grand opening of the T-shirt store. Saturday, October 21st, Tulsa, Oklahoma, CompoundWrestling.com. October 25th, 26th, and 27th, Los Angeles and Riverside, California, LuchaVavoom.com. October 28th and 29th, Gainesville, Florida. Saturday, I'm doing a live Art of Wrestling podcast, free if you got a Fest Pass. And then Sunday, I'm wrestling at Fest, thefestfl.com. November 3rd and 4th, Berwyn and LaSalle, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. And Friday, November 10th, San Francisco, California, CowPalace.com for APW. All right, that is the show for this week. Big thank you to Joe Coffey. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller and Creaky with the tech help. And you, thank you to you at home for listening. I always really appreciate it. We do have some sponsors. Highspots.com, a VOD service that is amazing. Watch your PWGs, watch your $5 wrestling, watch your Kevin Steen show, buy some AMAs, some gear, some mask, a wrestling ring. 1HourTees.com, they help run Pro Wrestling Crate.com, they help run ProWrestlingTees.com, which will have a walk-up storefront in Chicago very soon. TweakedAudio.com/Colt earbuds that I use. Get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to this show. I hope you enjoyed it. The train was running a lot while I was doing this. Pretty soon there will be no train. I'm getting out of this studio apartment and moving to a new studio apartment pretty soon. I've been here a long time, but not yet. Still a train, so we're still excited about that. Still here for the time being, but I'm sure I'll keep you updated on that. Something to talk about on a podcast. Hey, this has been The Art of Wrestling for Colt Cabana. I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.